The Douglas Coleman Show is made possible with support from Seth David Radwell, a recent guest on the program and author of American Schism, How the Two Enlightenments Hold the Secret to Healing Our Nation, released this past July. As Publishers Weekly writes in its recent glowing book life review of American Schism, business executive Radwell's epic debut examines the historical influences that have led to what he sees as the collapse of politics in the United States. Seth Radwell makes the case that the current chasm between the American right and left can be traced back to the 18th century's Age of Enlightenment and the basic tenets of liberty, equality, and reason. American Schism provides a historical perspective that can help us fight today's unreason with reason and bridge current-day divides. American Schism by Seth David Radwell is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. For more information, go to AmericanSchismBook.com.
It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Stephen Monatrink. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
You know, I am flourishing.
Flourishing. Oh, that's a good thing, right?
Well, we attach meaning to everything, and I like to look at flourishing as a good thing.
Okay.
Yes, and I say flourishing because I've gotten into a stage of my life where thriving rather than striving is my goal. And when you're in the thriving arena, everything is a celebration. So, I think that's flourishing.
Yeah, okay. So when you say that, you mean you can thrive on things that you did not achieve as well as things that you did achieve?
You thrive on beauty. No matter who created it, it all came from one consciousness to begin with.
Oh, all right. So things that already exist, perhaps.
Or everything around you.
Yeah.
You know, the way I see it, I'm just giving you my perspective on life. The way I see it, everything was created in a perfection. It all has its own beauty, be it a flower or a bird or a cloud or a mountain. We've all experienced beauty in many different forms. But that beauty is the consciousness that, integrates into everything. And that's where we want to live. We want to live in that consciousness because we have to begin to realize, and I use the word realize because that's the mind first, but that's not where we want to wind up. We have to begin to realize that our salvation and our freedom and the celebration lies within us. And that's what life is all about. And that's what I put in my book. All my experiences in life, the good, the bad, the ugly, were all experiences. And now I like to look at them as opportunities because they welcome me into a new way of seeing what is happening. And perception is your reality. Perception becomes your experience. It becomes your belief. And as long as you see it, you believe it, then you get to live it. So I am in the process of changing my perception.
Okay. You had mentioned before we got on that you are originally from New York City and that you worked in marketing in the garment district.
Yes, correct. A Brooklyn boy, growing up in the Brooklyn way in a Jewish family, to give you a better perspective, and winding up living on the island of Kauai, which is the Garden Island. It's the womb of it all. It's the most gentlest and nourishing of all the islands, is living the dream. Every day I wake up, I have gratitude for being here.
How long have you lived there?
Well, I came to Hawaii back in 2015, but I lived on the big island of Hawaii where I opened up with my wife a mobile urgent care. We went to all the hotel rooms, we went to all the vacation rentals and provided urgent medical care, carried a whole pharmacy. We did the whole thing, and it was the most fulfilling thing in my life. Of
Wow.
all my career in the apparel industry and in my healing practices, being in that business and being able to bring a light into a room and to have a patient, heal or feel comforted was the greatest experience that I've ever had.
Well, that's kind of amazing. Let me talk a little bit about this mobile urgent care. Now, how is this different from an ambulance?
This is an urgent care in your own hotel room. We brought up everything, including a pharmacy.
Oh, wow. So you're not...
Everything was done at the bedside.
So you're not taking people to the hospital?
IVs,
Okay.
injections, tests, everything except x-rays and things like that, but we sent them to the proper facilities. But that's what we did.
How come
She duplicated the emergency room. She was an ER doc.
Your wife was an ER doctor? Yeah.
Yeah, she passed away about 3 years ago, and that's when the show closed because she was the star, and that's when I went on, unfortunately, to experience some illnesses in my life, that were traumatic, and she passed away, and I wound up in a retirement nursing type of facility for 3 years and a nursing care facility for 6 months. And, I looked around, and in that time period that some people may thought was jail or confinement, because the people there, they weren't happy people. Man, it gave me an opportunity to be with myself. I started painting in that time period. I never painted before, and it just came to me through a course that I took on the internet, believe it or not, about art therapy. And that's the time I wrote my book, in that 2-3 year period. So I look at it as the glass half full.
Well, your book is called Navigating the Winds of Change, a spiritual guide to embracing a loving life. Why do you think that people are so obsessed with things that have no purpose, no real value in life? Why do you think people dwell on that so much?
Well, first of all, in order to come to a conclusion about something or see it in your own mind's eye, you need perspective. They don't have perspective. In other words, they know what they know, but they don't know what they don't know. And I'm talking about consciousness, being in the energy of a higher frequency, okay, where you value something other than material possessions.
Well, those are the people that generally have the worst problem with it, are the ones
Yes.
that are obsessed.
Yes.
The richer they get, it
Yes.
seems.
Because
Yeah.
that's why, Douglas, this is good, because the more people realize that this is why the experiences that you have, this is why you have these experiences, to bring you to that awareness, to bring you to that consciousness. How else are you going to attain it? By reading it? It doesn't work that way. You can read all the books in the world. Unless you apply the knowledge, the wisdom in your life, integrate it into every thought and action that you have, nothing's going to shift in your life.
Yeah, it's true. And it generally takes a really traumatic experience for people to get sort of kicked in the head and realize. Not always, but I've seen that happen often with people who live their whole life or most of their life one way, and it was really not a good way to live. And then something happened, and it just shifted their perspective.
I know, it gets them out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And it happened to a friend of mine just the other day. When we're comfortable, we don't tend to want to leave that comfortability. This is a human nature, okay, to be in comfort. That's why we seek places that give us pleasure and comfort. And the only way that we are going to move out of that comfort zone is if we, get pushed out of that comfort zone. And that's what these experiences bring. So when you don't wake up early and you are still in that hammock, okay, comfortable, you're going to get something traumatic. But if you listened to the signals along the way and follow the guidance of your heart, then that wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't happen.
So in your book, Are there steps that people can take? Let's say that somebody hasn't found their shift in perspective yet. Is your book going to kind of give them a jolt?
When you ride through a mountain range that you've never been there before, and you're riding around the curves and the ups and downs of the mountain and the terrains that are just cliff hanging, okay, that's the way life is. If you don't have road signs, I think your ride is going to be a little more difficult if you were guided. And that's what my book is. My book will guide you. It's about self-empowerment. It's not something I'm going to do. It's something that you are going to do. Because the book is what I did, okay, and how I saw things, and how I brought that into my life, and how my life changed from that. All right, and I'm just sharing my experiences with others because I think my experiences from my perspective in my life are beautiful. Look, we're, just living here alone in Kauai, to me, is living in the blessing. It's a sign. If you wake up, it's not luck. It's not a coincidence that I'm here. I can see the progression. I can see everything. Now, when you look back on your life, you can see why things happened before to bring you to the point that you are now. There's all of that, and that is divine orchestration. We didn't do it. You think our decisions made your road this way? What made your road this way is your lack of seeing the light. That's all. The lack of being conscious and aware of the wisdoms and the truths that you need to apply in your life. The road signs along the way. And that's what my book is all about.
So people don't see the road signs, is what you're saying, right? Oftentimes, they just blow right past them in their life and don't see where they're supposed to be going.
The only sign they ever see is the check engine light.
That's good.
Okay, that's it. And how many times have we looked for signs along the way to tell us where we go and we miss them? Just like we hold our keys or wear our glasses on the top of our head and we can't find them. Perception is life. What you see is your reality, and that's why we believe it to be that. But what happens when you change your perception? What happens to your reality?
It shifts, yeah.
Okay, and so that's what my book is about.
Okay.
My book is about looking at life, seeing what is the illusion, and seeing what is the truth. Choosing unloving or choosing loving, period. Those are the two road signs that I think one needs to follow. The simplest road signs. I mean, we can complicate it all we want, but basically it's unloving and loving. What our actions are, what our thoughts are they unloving to ourselves and to others, or to others and not ourselves? Just look at what you're trying to say. What part is missing love? And that's you want to know. You want to only be in the loving intentions, the higher frequency intentions, the reality that never changes, the beauty that always is. And so that's what the book is about, learning the road signs so you can stay in the center lane of the highway and not deviate, into the ego mind.
There's something on your bio I want to bring up because I don't know what it is. It says
That's not a good thing.
Vibrational Artist. What is that?
Oh, you know what it is, Douglas.
No,
What do
I
you
don't.
think it is? What do you think it is?
A vibrational artist.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure what kind of art you're talking about. Are you talking about painting, or are you talking about?
I can see. All right, I'm going to explain it to you. You're too logical for me.
Oh.
Is it this? Is it that? When I paint, first of all, I only paint mostly, not all the time, with my hands and my fingers. I don't use brushes or anything outside of my fingers and hands. I use finger paints, tempera paints.
Okay.
They are very liquidy and easy to work with. And I put them on my fingers, I put them on my hands, and I allow my hands to be my palette. And then I go into, I've been doing this so long, it's easy. I go into a meditational state, more or less, and connect with my inner vibration, my frequency of love and joy and wisdom and all that is. I connect with that. We all have it within us. It's not that I own it. I'm just connecting to it. Okay, and so I connect to that. And then I allow my hands to be guided by an inner artist that I didn't even know lived there, and create what it is that you see.
What do these paintings look like?
So that's why I call it vibrational art.
Okay, what do these paintings look like?
I'm not going to tell you.
All right. I'm picturing...
You have to, it's an experience.
I'm picturing Jackson Pollock.
No, my dear. It's an experience that brings you into a higher awareness and perception. It's a healing frequency in these paintings that open up portals that you didn't even know were there. You see stories upon stories that are embedded in layers and layers in the picture. Okay, and you get my frequency, not my frequency, but you get love consciousness frequency through my fingers, through the paints, onto the canvas, the glass, the print, whatever it is that you want, and you get to experience that vibration, that healing frequency. It brings you joy and pleasure. I have people that view my paintings that walk away always smiling, and I interview them, and I ask them, what did they think? And they looked at me with this big smile, and they said, I just felt so joyous.
Where can we see your paintings? Are they online?
Yes, they are on my website. Stephen, that's Steven, Mana, Mana, Trink, Trink, all one word, StephenMonatrink.com.
Are there links to your book purchase from your website as well?
Yes, you can find, I designed my website so you can view my galleries. I have 2 different galleries on my website. I designed my website so you can see a picture of me painting, how I paint and the story kind of behind the painting and how that came about. I designed my website so you can listen to interviews like this one that I've done in the past that could be enlightening for you. All right. And so I designed my website to see my book, to get the story behind my book, and to buy my book. You can purchase it on Amazon.com as well as StephenMonatrink.com, and just go to book purchase. And so, it's all there.
Stephen, we got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on and enlightening all of us. And I think I might be interested to read your book, so I'm going to check it out.
Well, Douglas, that is a wonderful acknowledgement to my purpose. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you and nice talking to you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Douglas Coleman's Don't Do a Podcast is a dryly humorous rant about Douglas's pet peeve, the unrelenting torrent of podcasts hitting the web on a constant basis. As technology has put podcasting within the reach of anyone, many wholly unqualified people have taken the plunge. This witty polemic tries to persuade them from broadcasting their drivel using Douglas's brand of sarcastic humor. Now on Amazon, only 99 cents.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
Hey, this is Ray Powers. Don't touch anything. You've got it right where you need it. Tuned in to the Douglas Coleman Show. You heard me.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Jim Utzler. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hello, Douglas. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First thing on your bio, a Kentucky bourbon connoisseur. I got to admit that back in the days when I was drinking, I was a Scotch drinker. Bourbon just didn't quite do it for me. But what is the best bourbon out on the market, you think?
You know, it depends on how much you want to spend, I suppose. My favorite right now is Woodford. It's fairly affordable. It's very drinkable, and just a sipping whiskey, which I like.
I suppose the older it gets, obviously, the more expensive, as with any aged whiskeys, right?
Yeah, and what kind of barrel it's in, and get stuff like that, and mainly age, but barrel counts too.
The barrel counts too. So it's the type of wood that's used in the barrel? Yeah,
the wood, it kind of gives out the flavor to the bourbon. So some can be more oaky or, and lend to the flavor of the bourbon. And the longer it sits in the barrel, the more it gets. Like I said, right now, Woodford is for me. But
okay. Well, I've never heard of it, but I know very little about bourbon. But
well, yeah, you were a Scotch drinker, I think.
Yeah, single malts, Highland. My favorite when I was drinking, I was probably drinking Oban. And, if I was on a budget, then I would drink Glenlivet.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But, okay, so what is the most common wood used to make the barrel? Is it oak?
Yeah, I think it's oak. Yeah.
All right.
And, they'll reuse the barrels, too, so.
They reuse them?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, let me ask you, why did you prefer Scotch over bourbon? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I'm not sure. I just like the flavor. Something about the bourbon flavor just, I don't know. It was unpleasant to me. But the Scotch, personal preference, I guess.
And I'm the exact opposite. I kind of like the sweet notes of bourbon.
I've tried them all. I had them all at one time, sure. But I settled on Scotch, and it just stuck with that for a long time, and then just gave up drinking altogether probably, 10 years ago. And
wow, good for you.
Now I just don't touch it. I don't know. It just stopped being something that I wanted to do. It wasn't any issues with alcohol per se. It just, one day I woke up and I tasted it and went, ugh, what am I doing? And plus I think I got older and my body just wasn't handling it well. And I'd wake up, even after just a couple of drinks the night before, I'd wake up with a hangover like I had drank, a whole bottle. And I was like, enough. I just couldn't get myself going in the morning. So I said, this is enough for me.
Yeah, my dad did that too, because he'd have a couple of beers in the evening, and the next morning, like you said, he just wasn't feeling well. So he just said, "Yep, that's it."
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just at that point when you get older, where your body shifts, and you start putting on weight and things that you used to be able to do when you were 20 and 30 years old, you couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't drink half a bottle of Scotch and leap out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to work. It just wasn't going to happen.
I miss those days.
Yeah, well, But I think we're wiser as we get older. I feel more, I don't know, I feel more comfortable in my own skin now than I did when I was young. When I was young, I was always searching for some kind of an adventure. And now I'm just happy to be comfortable. So it's a different mindset, but it works for me now. So I'm content.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it gets to a point where you're you found you.
Yeah, I think so. Also on your bio, it says you graduated with a degree in creative writing from the University of Michigan.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah.
Oh.
Who would pick creative writing? I wanted to be a writer since, younger, and the opportunity was there, so I decided to take it. But, it's one of those liberal arts things that's not really going to get you a job. But as it turned out, it did get me a job. So.
Well, that's good. What was your job? Were you a freelance or did you work for somebody?
Both.
Both, okay.
I started off as a copy editor out of college, and then it kind of worked up and started writing. I worked for a company in Detroit, which was called TPC at the time. It no longer exists. And I started writing there, and then I went freelance. I started working for different organizations just on my own, which was kind of fun. Different topics, they weren't all the same. And you learn a lot from smart people, which I like doing. And in fact, for a while, I was working for a mathematics journal, and I was interviewing researchers and scientists. And that was fun. And I was writing about computers, too.
So you were able to support yourself as a writer, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, as a freelance writer.
That's good. Not a lot of people can do that.
I got lucky in a lot of ways. Yeah. But you're right. Yeah, it's tough. You're right. You have to know people. That helps always. But and then just do it.
So you live in Costa Rica?
I do not. I live outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan, not far from Detroit either. But I go to Costa Rica fairly often.
Oh, so like you have a second home there or something?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a family type home.
Oh, okay.
So we share it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
And it's a little condo on the beach, which is nice.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. So you've got a book called, how am I going to screw this up?
Pura Vida.
Pura Vida. Okay. Which is Spanish for what?
Kind of the good life.
The good life. Okay.
Or pure life. Yeah.
Tell us about the book.
Well, the book is, it's kind of a crime novel. And part of it does take place in Detroit, but the majority of it in Costa Rica. So I use that title as kind of ironic, the pure life, because it's about essentially a Detroit homicide detective who does some things he shouldn't have done. He gets thrown in jail for a little bit, but in the meantime, he comes into some money, so he moves to Costa Rica, and other stuff happens. Somebody kind of wrote a real short synopsis on it, and I can read that to you if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Guy says, cop does things, stuff happens, weighs his options, time passes, and more things happen. Cool twist and strong ending. And that's pretty much the book.
Okay, well, it sounds like it could almost be a film, too,
Yeah, it could be. I could see it, kind of broke down into chunks, and because it has it breaks up in a lot of places. But it was fun to write, and I love Costa Rica, so it was nice to write about Costa Rica, the country, and the people as well. So it was really nice, and so it's a detective crime novel, and pulpy a little bit.
Is this your first novel, or have you written more others?
First published.
First published. Okay.
Wrote another one. Yeah. The previous one was about the computer industry, and I liked it. I didn't use any dialogue in it, which so a lot of run-on sentences. But by the time I was shopping it around, that part of the computer industry was gone, so it was no longer relevant. But it was fun, right?
I'm curious about that book. Now, this was like a documentary type book?
No, it was fiction.
It was fiction.
Yeah, and also kind of a crime novel too. I'm a fan of noir stuff like that. But it just happened to take place in the computing world. Like I said, I did no dialogue because I just didn't feel like writing it. And I wanted to try something different.
So it was all in third person?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with Pura Vida, I decided to go first person and have much more dialogue and get rid of the run-on sentences and kind of tighten things up and go, I don't know how I want to phrase it, more of a prose with poetry. So it has, the meter and rhythm and things like that. And,
all right.
Which I found really fun to write. That was really nice. Just to, repeat words. So, yeah, I enjoy that. That was part of what got me really interested in doing it.
I want to go back to your computer book for a second because you had mentioned that it was something in the computer industry that, excuse me, that no longer exists. What were you writing about, like Fortran?
No, it was about the operating systems and how they were proprietary. And this is about the time that the open source movement was starting, and which open source is, people can contribute to software, and it's not really owned by anyone, and people can use it. Sometimes it's sold commercially, otherwise you can just download it and use it and customize it for yourself. So it was kind of about that era, where you have this proprietary operating system.
Oh,
and then you have Linux, open source, and, kind of the competing aspects of that.
Well, that would be a nightmare now with all the people online. Can you imagine? Wow.
No.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Things have changed a lot since then, so that was quite a while ago.
I'm guessing that was like in the 70s or the 80s, somewhere in there?
Well, when Linux came out, and I'm trying to think exactly when that was, probably 80s, maybe early 90s. But
early 90s.
It really is what kind of opened the movement with Linux. Okay. And a lot of software is being written open source now.
All right. Anything else you want to add? Do you have a website that you want to give out?
I do not at the moment. I had one, but I had to take it down because it wasn't secured. And, people
all right.
were using my email address and all that good stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Where is your book available then? Is it on Amazon?
Amazon, it's not quite available there yet, but it will be very soon. So Amazon is both kind of a trade book and electronic, digital, and
ebook.
I think also on Barnes & Noble. So
okay, well, when's it release?
I'm thinking by the middle of November.
Oh, all right. Okay.
That's what my publisher tells me anyway. So.
Well, they're usually pretty good on that. The quicker they get it out. All right, Jim. Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up here. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll look forward to your book coming out next month sometime.
Yeah, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I appreciate it.
Oh, my